Right, a handful of people keep commenting saying the introductions that I do are too long. So here is our 2018-19 Best Relegated 11. Goalkeeper Ron-Robert Zieler. There were two outstanding candidates between the sticks, but with a bit more pedigree and experience at the highest level, we're going with German international Ron-Robert Zieler. Stuttgart were the biggest club to be relegated this season, and you can expect to see them crop up a few times in this 11. Former Manchester United trainee Ron-Robert Zieler is currently in his second stint with Stuttgart, and the commanding number 1 has won 6 caps in a very competitive position in the German national team. Age 30, he should be at the pinnacle of his career right now, but barring a transfer, he'll be in the second tier next season. Right back Eric Durm. We've another German international at right back, but this one was relegated from the Premier League rather than the Bundesliga this season. The 27-year-old was more used to title challenges than relegation scraps during his 7 years at Borussia Dortmund, but it was always likely to be a difficult second season for Huddersfield Town in the top flight this term. The 7-time capped international had gone 18 months without a game, having ruptured his ankle ligaments in Germany, and he made just 16 league appearances for the Terriers as they went down with a whimper. Centre back Benjamin Pavard. The star of this side in many respects, despite being relegated this season, Benjamin Pavard won't be playing second tier football next season. The 2018 World Cup winner was relegated at Stuttgart this season, but he had already signed off on a summer move to Bayern Munich halfway through the campaign. Young and defensively solid, Pavard plays as a right back for France, but as a centre back for Stuttgart, and much like compatriot Lucas Hernandez, his versatility probably made him a more appealing prospect to Bayern Munich. Centre back Christopher Schindler. The first time Schindler has featured in one of our lists, it was Christopher Schindler's winning penalty that sent Huddersfield Town into the Premier League in the 2017 Championship playoff final. He then won the Terriers Player of the Year award in both of their Premier League campaigns, not that anyone was particularly impressive at the John Smith Stadium last season. Following the club's relegation, there has been speculation linking the German with a move to Bundesliga side Schalke, who are managed by Schindler's former Huddersfield boss, David Wagner. Left back Emiliano Insua. We're not spoilt for choice at left back, but I'd say the strongest candidate is Argentina international Emiliano Insua. Capped 5 times by La Albiceleste, Insua made 62 appearances for Liverpool between 2007 and 2011. Following stints at Sporting Club de Portugal and Atletico Madrid, he joined Stuttgart in 2015. He was relegated with the club in his first season, promoted in his second, finished 7th in the Bundesliga in his third, and was relegated once again in his fourth, which was the season just gone. The 30-year-old has got another year left on his current deal with Stuttgart, and it seems unlikely there'll be too many teams clamouring for his signature this summer. Central midfield Aaron Mooy. The first player in our 11 isn't either German, based in Germany, or both. Huddersfield Town didn't have any players in our video on the 7 best relegated Premier League players this season, yet they've 3 in our worldwide relegated 11. The last of those 3 is Australian international Aaron Mooy. Integral to the Terriers' promotion from the Championship and survival in the Premier League last season, he was far less effective this season, but Mooy is still a very capable footballer. Intelligent, composed and good in the pass, he'll be one of the most talented players in the Championship should he stay with Huddersfield next season. Central midfield Jean-Michel Seri. One of the most underwhelming signings of last summer, Jean-Michel Seri was bitterly disappointing in a Fulham shirt. The Cottagers made a string of marquee signings 12 months ago, and arguably none more impressive than Seri, given that the Nice star had been heavily linked with moves to Arsenal and Chelsea. Those two may have been counting their blessings, since they have already looked nowhere near a £25 million footballer at Craven Cottage. I've not done a great job of justifying Seri's selection in this 11, but the fact remains he was excellent in Ligue 1 as a well-rounded and energetic box-to-box midfielder, and there's still that player in there somewhere, so he makes our 11. Right wing Christian Stuani. The outstanding offensive player in this 11 in many respects, Uruguayan international Christian Stuani can play either out wide on the right or through the middle. He joined the Minnows of Girona from Middlesbrough in 2017, and he has been outstanding ever since. Following 21 goals in 33 games last season, he bagged 20 in 34 this term. Only Lionel Messi, Luis Suarez, and Iago Aspas have scored more in La Liga over the same period, but Stuani's goals couldn't prevent Girona from getting relegated following an 18th place finish this season. He's no spring chicken at 32, but he's surely too good for the Segunda Division, and both Nottingham Forest and Barcelona have been linked. Sorry, did I just say Nottingham Forest and Barcelona? Oh no, that is actually right. That'll be a tough choice from then. Decisions. Attacking midfield. Portu. When you're looking for a creative and technical central or attacking midfielder who can pass a ball, it should come as little surprise if you end up in Spain. That is the case here, with Girona midfielder Portu becoming the first Spaniard to make our starting 11. A graduate of the Valencia Academy and a former Spanish youth international, Portu has been with Girona since 2016. He was superb as the Catalan Minnows stayed up last season and still impressive, albeit a little less effective, in their relegation campaign this season. Having come close to joining Sevilla last summer, Brighton, West Ham and Real Sociedad have all been linked in more recent times. Left wing. Ryan Babel. Despite all of their big money signings, it was 32-year-old Ryan Babel who arrived in the January transfer window reportedly for less than £2 million from Besiktas, who had the biggest impact at Fulham this season. Recalled to the Netherlands squad following a 6-year absence in 2017, the former Liverpool man scored 5 goals in 16 games from the left flank for the Cottagers, including a stunner against Cardiff City and one against his former club. He only signed a 6-month deal at Craven Cottage, and he showed more than enough to stay in one of Europe's top flights for next season, with his former club Besiktas' rivals, Galatasaray, supposedly leading the way at the time of this recording. Centre forward. Aleksandar Mitrovic. We had 3 big-name centre forwards to choose from. One, Christian Stuani, is equally adept on the right so plays there. One has to settle for a place on the bench, and the other, Aleksandar Mitrovic, will be our starring number 9. The powerful Serbian centre forward signed for Fulham in a deal worth a potential £27 million last summer following an impressive spell on loan with the club. He bagged 11 goals in 27 games, which wasn't bad going in a struggling Fulham side. Big, strong, and a real handful when given the right kind of service, Mitrovic is still only 24, and one would imagine that a few teams will be eyeing him up this summer. West Ham have been linked, but there are reports that Mitrovic will be willing to stick around and try to help Scott Parker's side secure an immediate return to the big time next season. The team, including manager and substitutes. Right, seeing as though I didn't really do an introduction, since some people say I rattle on too long, but we've probably got rid of those hangers on and whittled it down to you guys, my people, and our core subscriber base now, I should point out that I didn't consider players who were only on loan at relegated clubs this season, so there's no place for the likes of Patrick Roberts, Douglas Luiz, or Victor Camarasa. Moving on to the manager, a lot of relegated clubs tend to get rid of their managers, and that is the case with our boss. That man is Eusebio Sacristan, better known simply as Eusebio, who spent 7 years playing for Barcelona and won 15 caps for Spain in his playing days. Best known in managerial circles for his time at Real Sociedad, Eusebio guided the Basque outfit to a 6th place finish in his only full season at the helm. He was appointed Girona manager last summer, but was fired following the club's relegation. On the bench, we start with Cardiff City goalkeeper Neil Etheridge. Following a pretty rapid rise through the divisions, Etheridge more than held his own in the Premier League, sparing Cardiff splashes on more than one occasion. The 29-year-old Filipino international was recently the subject of an £8 million bid from Aston Villa, who seemed determined to sign him up. He remains in South Wales at the time of this recording. Next up is a man once described by Louis van Gaal as the best left-footed centre-back in Germany, and that man is Holger Badstuber. A regular for both Bayern Munich and the German national team almost 10 years ago, Badstuber was very highly thought of in Germany, but he has never really recovered from an ACL injury in December 2012. He made just 28 appearances over the next 3 seasons in Bavaria and has added just 1 cap in 2015 to his overall tally of 31. Capable of playing at left back or centre back, Badstuber made just 9 appearances for Stuttgart this season. With Badstuber covering centre-back and left-back, it makes sense for our next substitute to be a right-back, and that's exactly what Pablo Maffeo is. The 21-year-old former Man City defender spent his entire 3 years contracted to the Premier League champions on loan at Girona. It was alongside Badstuber at Stuttgart that he was relegated this season though, as the club's record signing, and he was linked with a move to Real Betis in January. Next up is an ideal benchman, given that he can play in just about any outfield position. Enthusiastic Scot Callum Paterson was one of Cardiff City's best players this season, and he chipped in with 4 goals despite originally being a right back. He played as a striker at times last season, as well as at wing back, central midfield and on the right flank. Paterson might not be the most technically gifted footballer, but he's strong, he's a willing runner, and he's always a threat in the air. Continuing the theme of versatility is Fulham's teenage sensation Ryan Sessegnon. It may have seemed like an underwhelming campaign following the youngster's blistering form in the Championship, but just to play 30 games in the Premier League at 18 is impressive going. Sessegnon has since turned 19, and although he's played a lot of football at left back, it seems likely that his long-term future lies on the left wing. Our penultimate substitute, largely as a backup to Girona star Portu, is Stuttgart playmaker Daniel Didavi. A skillful and creative but injury-prone attacking midfielder, Didavi is 29 years old, yet he's only played 131 Bundesliga matches. Nevertheless, he's a talent and a good option off the bench when fit. Last but not least, in fact he's arguably the best player on our bench, is experienced centre-forward Mario Gomez. Hardly a fossil just yet at the age of 33, Gomez has tended to have pretty patchy form throughout his career. He was one of the most deadly strikers in Europe at one point at Bayern Munich, and he returned to the German national team a few years ago off the back of a 28-goal season at Besiktas. He started life back at Stuttgart well last January, but has been less prolific in his first full season back, scoring just 8 goals. He has huge pedigree nonetheless, and has to at least make our bench. To recap, our 2018-19 Relegated 11 reads like this: Ron-Robert Zieler, Eric Durm, Benjamin Pavard, Christopher Schindler, Emiliano Insua, Aaron Mooy, Jean-Michael Seri, Christian Stuani, Portu, Ryan Babel, and Aleksandar Mitrovic, with a bench of Neil Etheridge, Holger Badstuber, Pablo Maffio, Callum Paterson, Ryan Sessegnon, Daniel Didavi, and Mario Gomez, all marshalled by former Atletico Madrid midfielder Eusebio. That's it for today's video. Thanks for watching, let us know your thoughts in the comments and any future video ideas you'd like to see from me. Give us a like if you enjoyed the video, and as always, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications if you enjoy our content.